Beltone Hearing Aid Center presents The Drive.
Ready, fight!
The Drive.
Elmore deep, left side three is good! From 30 feet, John Elmore!
The Drive with Paul Swann.
Welcome into the Friday, December 14th edition of The Drive, presented by Beltone Hearing Aid Center on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Coming up this hour, we're going to hear from Marshall University football coach Doc Holliday. We'll get his comments as the Thundering Herd are getting set for the Bad Boy Motors Gasparilla Bowl. That's coming up next week. We'll have it for you right here on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. Also, we're going to hear a little bit later on from Chris Dickerson. He's the editor of the West Virginia Record. He's also a former sports writer, and he is a Wayne High School grad. He started a push to get the Wayne High School football field named after Coach Scott Jarrell. We'll find out from him a little bit later on why he's putting this push together. And in a few minutes, we're going to hear from Graeson Malashevich. He is the Fulton Walker Award winner. That is an award that is presented by the West Virginia Sports Writers Association. It goes to the state's top special teams player, and he's going to join us on the program in a few minutes. Plus, we'll take your phone calls at 877-420-TALK. That is 877-420-8255. We've got a lot to get into today, and of course, we're getting closer to Marshall taking on South Florida and the Gasparilla Bowl. That's coming up later next week. We'll have that game for you right here on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. A great article down in the newspaper, TampaBay.com, is where you can find it today. Good look at what the Marshall program's all about. So the folks in Tampa are kind of getting a history. They've seen Marshall for a few years now. Marshall's not a stranger to playing football in the Tampa, the Florida area, but good story today about how a half century later, Marshall football is still galvanized by tragedy. So that's a good read. You should check that out. And, of course, there's another story I'm going to talk about a little bit more as far as who's the next UCF. Yahoo Sports is surmising that it could be North Texas. So North Texas could be the next UCF. And they're talking about the fact that they've got some young stars. They are in their third consecutive bowl game. This is a program that, if you think about it, maybe the resources are there. Maybe North Texas starts to emerge out of Conference USA. And if North Texas starts to emerge, maybe North Texas starts to elevate Conference USA a little bit more. Coach Seth Littrell said that he thinks it could be a monster here because there's growth on the campus. There's optimism. He thinks, quote, I think it's one of those places that once you get it rolling, I think it's going to continue if the support and resources continue to stay where it's at. Here's a reason, according to the Yahoo story. The reason for the surge are familiar for programs trending up around college athletics. Aligned leadership at the presidential level, savvy hires, and aggressive marketing. That's included free In-N-Out burgers, $3 beers, and even hosting a post-game wrestling event. Yeah, I'm on board for all of that. $3 beers, that's a pretty solid football price for a beer. You get free In-N-Out burger. You know what? We don't have In-N-Out here in the greater Huntington tri-state area, and maybe that's hurting Marshall recruiting. I don't know. Maybe that's hurting Marshall fan attendance. I don't know, but you can find something comparable for free In-N-Out burgers. And, of course, you got a post-game wrestling event. What's next? A boxing kangaroo? I don't know what's going to happen, but they're pretty savvy at North Texas right now, so I'm on board with everything right there. Now, here's something else. Here's where they're getting business taken care of. They beat Arkansas 44-17. How about that? You beat Arkansas, you beat a name program, and people are going to start talking about you. That's what Marshall needs to do. Marshall's got to find a way, when name programs are on the schedule, to beat them. NC State was an opportunity. Didn't happen for the Thundering Herd. Game against South Carolina might have been an opportunity, but weather prevented that one. Virginia Tech was an opportunity, but Marshall wasn't able to take advantage of that. Instead, Marshall's been really solid in conference, played against majority of teams that they could and should beat the majority of the teams they could and should beat. Couple of exceptions there. But Marshall is a solid program, just needs some signature wins. Elevated promotion maybe, growth in the area. I mean, the area itself, let's be honest, this isn't all just on Marshall University. Huntington's got to be an exciting, vibrant, growing region to attract kids here. And let's be honest, North Texas, it's in Texas. It's got a lot to draw upon. Great area, media markets there, love for football. They can just draw a circle around the campus and say, all right, nothing's getting out. We're going to get all the talent in this circle, and we're going to keep it right here. And they're going to be a solid, competitive program. So they got a lot of things going right for them at North Texas, and I could be on board with this. Getting the fans to show up, that's a big deal. The free In-N-Out burgers, that helps. But you go 5-8, then 9-5, and now 9-3 in the last 3 years. Not won a league title yet, but I think you're getting a program that's on the right track. That's where you have a lot of growth potential. North Texas could be the next Central Florida. Remember when teams were shooting to be the next Marshall? Now teams are shooting to be the next Central Florida as far as this level. We're going to turn our attention to high school football when we come back from break. Graeson Malashevich is going to join us. He was selected as the Fulton Walker Award winner by the West Virginia Sports Writers Association. We're going to check in with him when we come back from break also. Chris Dickerson will join us a little bit later on to talk about his push to get Wayne High School football's field named after Coach Scott Jarrell. We'll hear from Doc Holliday as well when we continue with this edition of The Drive, presented by Beltone Hearing Aid Center on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
You're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Welcome back to the Friday, December 14th edition. Drive continues on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930, presented by Beltone Hearing Aid Center. If you follow high school football all season long, you know one of two things, that Spring Valley, really, really good, and part of the reason why was Graeson Malashevich. He did everything. I think he did everything except sell concessions and kick field goals. And he was selected as the Fulton Walker Award winner by the West Virginia Sports Writers Association. That goes to the state's top special teams player. He now joins us on the program. Congratulations, Graeson. That was something I think almost a lot of us thought was a foregone conclusion, the way you performed this year.
Thank you. I appreciate it a lot.
What's it been like? What are you feeling now that you've got that passed and you've been recognized as one of the best players in the state of West Virginia?
It's awesome to be recognized as one of the better players in the state, considering all the talent we have. And you got Division I guys all across the state now. It's just probably one of the best recruiting classes West Virginia's ever had, I'd say. And it's just awesome to be recognized as one of the top players.
Now, your recruiting continues. You haven't settled on anything yet, but I'm sure this helps as well. At least getting your name out there, opening up maybe a few more doors for you as far as schools that are calling. Have you got any increased interest now that the award's been announced, or has it been pretty steady already?
I think it's been pretty steady already. Most coaches base their evaluations off film, and after the season, I posted my highlight film and everything. I think the awards are just another way to get my name out there, and it helps a little bit, but I don't think it helps a ton.
Is there anywhere you're leaning towards right now? I know you haven't made your final decision, but are you leaning towards anyone as far as you hope that you could possibly go here? I know the in-state schools would definitely love to have you in the surrounding area as well.
Yeah, I definitely love Marshall and West Virginia. Two good schools that I'm really looking at, and Virginia Tech and Penn State, and a couple of the state schools around here I'm really looking at right now. But I'm just taking it slow, seeing if anything opens up and what is the best place for me to go. What's
the most important thing you're looking for? For a lot of kids, it's the opportunity to maybe get an education in a certain field. Other kids, they want a balanced education, of course, but look at this as an opportunity maybe to get to that next level after college. What are you looking for that's going to be the best fit for you and your goals?
I'm just looking for the best place for me, whether like academically, what's around the place, the area I'm in, and obviously athletically, what the best situation is for me and how I would fit in to the team and school.
Graeson Malashevich joins us. He was named as one of the best players in the state of West Virginia, winning the Fulton Walker Award, which goes to the state's top special teams player. Really, I think that says a lot for you because you did so much. You were probably, as some stories have written about you, one of the most versatile players in the state of West Virginia, if not the most versatile player.
Yeah, I just try to go out there every Friday to help our team win ball. We won the last few of them. We didn't finish it quite how we wanted, but I think I was able to help a great team to get back to another state championship.
What are you looking for as you're going through this process now? Are you wanting to settle in a certain position, or are you pretty happy with just your versatile nature, or are you looking to maybe have someone pick you up for a particular skill set? What's going through your mind as far as what's going to be next for you?
I think my versatility has definitely helped me get recruited. Just being able to do multiple things on the field has opened up some coaches' eyes, and when I get in there, I think I'll settle into a position more wherever. Right now, I think my versatility is really what's helped me get recruited.
And with the recruiting process, of course, there's always that advantage of coaches come to see you, recruits have friends, you have friends. And has this opened the door up maybe for some of your friends, some of the guys on the team? Now they're getting a few more looks that normally they wouldn't. I mean, obviously, Spring Valley is one of the best programs in the state of West Virginia. If you're looking in the state, you're going to look at Spring Valley. But how has this, have you felt, opened up doors for not just your teammates, but kids in this region to get a closer look by recruiters, coaches, and people who are tasked with finding the best players?
I think it definitely helps. I mean, I know it's definitely helped me get some opportunities with having probably the best lineman and one of the best linemen in the country on our team, Doug Nestor. He's a top recruit. He's number 1 or 2 guard in the nation, and also Zach Williams and multiple Power 5 offers, Wyatt Milan Power 5 offers. I think that has definitely opened up doors to me with all these coaches coming to schools and just being able to evaluate me. But it helps other kids get looks too with all the high-profile recruiting that goes on around here. They just want to see the talent pool that surrounds the state area.
Graeson Malashevich joins us. He's the winner of the Fulton Walker Award, goes to the state of West Virginia's top special teams player. He joins us on the program. What is it about these last few years? It seems that we're talking more and more about players like yourself and others who are considered legitimate D1 prospects. Is it just people are more attuned to it now, paying more attention to the state? Has the talent recently just gotten better? What is it? Has the talent always been here and just been overlooked?
I think talent's always been here. But these guys getting recruited to go in big schools, you guys, Doug going to Ohio State, I think that's definitely helped a lot. Just big guys have opened up a lot of opportunities for people, and I think talent's been here, but I don't think it's been here like it has been these recent years with multiple Power 5 guys coming just straight out of Huntington, coming out of the whole state.
Is it something you see that's going to continue, or is this just a good period right now? Where would you evaluate the talent in the state since you've seen some of the top programs?
The talent in the state is just getting better and better every year. Every year we've played against players, and you'll come out after a game and be like, who's that guy? I mean, they're really good ball players all across the state. And I don't know if it's hard to tell if it's just a good period or if it's going to continue. But, I mean, I definitely think the state of West Virginia football is really talented right now.
Joining us on the program, the winner of the Fulton Walker Award for the state's top special teams player, Graeson Malashevich. Now, I know the last few years it's been sort of a bittersweet journey. You get to the state championship game consistently now with the program, and you haven't been able to crack that championship win yet. Where do you see Spring Valley as the program continues now? I know it's going to be very hard to constantly do that, but here's a program that has been doing it consistently over the last few years. What's making Spring Valley so special right now? I
think the 2 points went to the state championship class of 2017. I think they really changed the culture for Spring Valley. They brought a winning attitude, and I think that's what really has propelled us these past couple years. Last year, we probably weren't as good as we were in 2017, but we had that winning mentality, and we knew how to win ball games. So that, like at the Huntington game in the semifinals, we just went out there and won the game because of the attitude we brought. We thought we could win. We knew how to win. I think that's really helped Spring Valley these past couple of years.
Our guest on the program, Graeson Malashevich, winner of the Fulton Walker Award for the state's top special teams player. And when you sit back and look at it now, what are you going to miss the most as you move on? You're looking ahead now to your next journey, but what are you going to miss the most about time at Spring Valley and that journey?
I think just playing with my friends. I've played with them for about 12 years now since youth league. I think playing with them and getting to walk down that hill at the Wolves Inn every Friday night, just being able to play with your friends in real life in the community. That's what I'm going to miss the most. Just like
Joining us on the program, Graeson Malashevich. He is the winner of the Fulton Walker Award. Congratulations and good luck wherever you go next. If it be local, be Marshall, West Virginia, or if you go elsewhere, good luck. I'm sure this is going to be a really exciting time for you as you get to now go on this journey and go see probably some different places you haven't had a chance to see. So is that what you're most looking forward to next as you just take your time to kind of figure out what's going to be best for you? Just the journey itself? Yeah,
I think that's going to be the most exciting part. I'm just going to be able to see what's out there, get to experience a bunch of new things, and then that ultimately make the best decision for me.
Well, congratulations once again. It's been fun to watch you all year long, and can't wait to find out where you ultimately end up. And they're going to be definitely a fortunate college football program wherever you decide to go.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
That's Graeson Malashevich. He was named the Fulton Walker Award winner by the West Virginia Sports Writers Association, and definitely well-earned as one of the state's top players. Goes to the state's top special teams player. He did everything except probably sell programs and play in the band at halftime. And you know what? If he could have, he probably would have. When we come back from break, we're going to talk a little more about Wayne County football, but this time we're going to turn our attentions to Wayne High School. Chris Dickerson is going to join us. He's the editor of the West Virginia Record. He's also a former sports writer. He's also a Wayne High School grad, and you know, if you live around here, that's a tight-knit group. And he started a push to get the Wayne High School football field named after Coach Scott Jarrell. We'll find out why and what he hopes to accomplish when we continue with this edition of The Drive, presented by Beltone Hearing Aid Center on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Don't worry. Paul Swann has the wheel on The Drive, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
We're presented by Beltone Hearing Aid Center on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. Welcome back to the Friday edition of The Drive. I'm your host, Paul Swann, and if I would have planned this a little bit better, we would have had some different music for our next guest. Instead of having our usual fare, I would have probably loaded up on a lot of Kiss music because Chris Dickerson is now joining me. He's the editor of the West Virginia Record, but he's also a former sports writer, also a Wayne High School grad, and he is an avid, and I mean avid, supporter of Kiss, the rock group that begins and ends the spectrum of music as far as I'm concerned, right? I mean, that's the beginning. They're the alpha and the omega of rock music.
The greatest American rock and roll band ever. You're absolutely correct there.
Why are we talking sports? Let's just talk Kiss. I mean, we could talk sports.
I can do that too.
Yeah.
I can do. Yeah. Do you have a rock show? Because I could talk for hours about that too.
We do have a rock station. I don't know if we got the airtime. Could we get commercials? We have to actually stop talking to take the commercial breaks. I don't know if we could do that.
That's true. That's true.
So Chris is joining us.
Paul?
He's joining us on the program today because you've got something started that is pretty interesting. Usually it's something grassroots like this when a push is started to get something changed or named, and you came up with the idea to get the Wayne High School football field named after Coach Scott Jarrell. What was the genesis of this for you?
Well, first of all, that field is Pioneer Field, and it's been that way since 1966 when it was opened, or 1968 when it was opened. Coach Jarrell became the coach at Wayne High School in 1966. When they built the new high school, then he, with some help from others, literally built that field by hand. He plowed the field. He'd sow the grass. He would be out there picking up rocks. I remember being a kid when I was 5 and 6 years old and watching him down the sidelines, and he'd walk out on the field a few yards and pick up a rock and throw it to the side if he saw one, because, it was his pride and joy, that field. And in addition to that, he was a fantastic coach and had some great teams back in the 60s and 70s. And it's just something that he always loved that field. It was something that he took great pride in building.
So you've got a petition started. What's been the feedback so far from people? Because so far your petition goal is 1,500, and you've got 1,190. So obviously there are a lot of people who are in agreement with you.
Absolutely, yeah. Everyone I talked to out in Wayne, anyone above 40 years old who remembers Coach Jarrell thinks absolutely should be named after him. I mean, he was beloved in the community. He was well respected. In addition to being a good football coach, he was a guidance counselor and teacher. He was my guidance counselor when I was in high school. He was just a really good guy. And if any football field named after a coach, it should be this one named after him, because of the care and effort and hard work he put in there as a coach and as a teacher.
So what do you hope to achieve other than naming the field after him? Because you can name anything after somebody, but what are you looking to achieve? What are you hoping to accomplish with this effort? And maybe, going past the field itself being named after him.
Well, the thing is, most people around here know that Wayne High School had a fantastic football program for years and years. And, Coach Harmon has taken the team to 3 state championship victories and a few more championship game appearances. They've been in the playoffs almost every year for the past 20 years. He's done great work, but a lot of the younger people don't know or won't remember who Coach Jarrell is. And I think that's important. A town like Wayne, it's very close-knit, like you said earlier. People take pride in that Wayne Pioneer name and Wayne High School. And the groundwork that Coach Jarrell laid back in the 60s and 70s and early 80s made a lot of what Coach Harmon has done possible. And I think that everyone needs to remember that. And that, if nothing else, some kid 5 years from now will go to the field and say, well, who was Coach Jarrell? Why is the field named after him? And then his grandfather or mother or somebody can tell him all about Coach Jarrell and how important he was to the community. Now,
you seem to have really truly been touched by Coach Jarrell as far as the positive force he was in your life. Why, other than just recognizing, his good works, why is it important that you honor this man personally for you?
Well, I knew him my entire life. My dad played for him when he first became coach at the high school. And after my dad graduated, they became friends and hunting buddies. And, I've known I knew Coach Jarrell when I remember knowing him when I was 3 and 4 years old. Great family, epitomizes what families are in Wayne. I should say that I've got the full support of his wife, Carol, and their kids and grandchildren. I went and talked to them about this before I even started to make this push. It's just something that I felt that needed to be done even before his untimely death a few years ago.
So what do you need to at least get this push forward? You've got the petition, but what else do you need?
I've got the petition. I have been talking to the superintendent, Todd Alexander. I've talked to members of the school board. Sometime in January, I am going to go to a Wayne County school board meeting and make my presentation there. Have a few other people there. Some former players will come and speak. George Brumfield, who is also a legendary coach out in Wayne with the baseball program, and the baseball field there is already named after him. When I was talking to George about this, he said, I think the football field should be named for Coach Jarrell long before the baseball field should have been named for me, because Coach Brumfield considers Coach Jarrell his mentor, and he says he owes everything in his coaching career to him. And a few people remember that George Brumfield took over when Coach Jarrell retired from football coaching in 1983. Coached 3 or 4 years of the football program in addition to still coaching baseball. So that's the next step. And then after that, if we're successful in getting this done, there'll be some signage issues. We want to get signage changed over from Pioneer Field, and I'm hoping to get some community support to get that done easily and without any additional cost to the school board or the school.
Are you looking for anything beyond that? Of course, signage is obvious. Any marker, anything to sort of have a cornerstone?
Yeah, I would definitely. Yeah, cornerstone, some kind of plaque, on one of the buildings or the entrance out there, just so the people who don't know who Coach Jarrell is know why the field's named after him and the importance that he had to the community and the football program and the high school.
Joining us on the program is Chris Dickerson. He's the editor of the West Virginia Record, but he comes to us today as a Wayne High School graduate, starting a push to get the Wayne High School football field named after Coach Scott Jarrell. And there's a petition online now. How do people find that? Who can sign? Who can sign this petition? That way, somebody who just says, hey, this is a great idea, let's do it. Who needs to be able to find this and sign this for it to actually have some weight?
The way to do it is to go to change.org. And once you're there, you can search for Wayne High School or Coach Scott Jarrell or Coach Jarrell, anything along those lines, and the petition will come up. And then anyone can sign it. I was looking at the list that we had, like you said, we have about 1,200 signatures there. There's people from all over the country. I actually remember one stood out. There was someone from Hawaii who had signed the petition last week. But anyone around here, a lot of people, the football fans around here, if you remember high school football back in the 70s and late 60s, Wayne always had a tough program. And if you didn't get beat by Wayne, if you were fortunate enough to get a victory when you played the Pioneers, your players were still going to be sore for a few days after, because they weren't going to forget that they had been hit hard, because that's what Coach Jarrell's teams did. They hit hard and they ran it right down your throat.
But you really need a lot of people from Wayne High School, people who go to the school, went to the school, people in the community. That's probably going to have a little bit more weight than, say, someone in Utah who maybe has no connection.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And that's, what me and many friends from the Wayne area, we've been sharing the petition on Facebook and other social media. So we're getting the word out, and I, can't thank everyone enough, the 1,200 or so who has signed it, but we still want to get more signatures there. And before we take it to the school board, I'd love to have, like you said, that 1,500. I'd love to have 2,000 if we could get them, just so the school board knows that this is something that really needs to happen.
And again, you can go to change.org. You can search for Wayne High's football coach, Scott Jarrell, Wayne High School. You can search by that. And, of course, are you on social media anywhere other people can maybe find it and share it and discover it?
Well, you can share the link to the petition on Twitter, any of the social media platforms. Yeah. I've not been sharing it there, but I know other people have. Okay.
So change.org is where you are suggesting everyone just go directly there.
Yeah, that's the easiest way to find the petition.
And then we'll find out if you get to that 1,500 mark later. We'll have you back on, see where you're at when you're closer to presentation time. Are you looking maybe in a few months closer to football season? What's your timetable?
Well, I like I said, I'm planning to go talk to the school board sometime in January, and I don't know what the time frame will be there. It'd be fantastic if we have a renaming ceremony maybe for the first home game. That would be ideal.
That'd be the best time to do it, if you can get this passed, if you can get this everyone on board with this.
Right.
It looks like you got a good start. Again, almost to your goal already. And once you get that goal, I'm sure you're going to be pushing for some more. And then I'm sure as people find out about this, they'll definitely want to lend their support to it. So hopefully we can get you a few more people aware of this today and sign up later on.
Yeah, I appreciate you letting me talk about this. It's really important to me. So like I told you, I think I told you earlier, I coached middle school sports for a few years and youth sports for a long time. And I didn't play football for Coach Jarrell. He was retired by the time I was in high school, and I didn't even play football in high school. But I watched him when I was a kid, and some of the lessons I learned from watching him, I used when I became a coach. He was just a really good guy, and I can't think of anyone more deserving of having an honor, something like this done for them.
The petition's on change.org. You can search for Wayne High School football coach Scott Jarrell, Wayne High School football. You'll be able to find it. Chris, good luck with this. Hopefully we'll get you a few signatures, and we'll have you back on soon as you're closer to presentation time.
Sounds good, Paul. Thanks for having me, and rock and roll all night.
Next time we'll you know what? We'll just do the KISS podcast. That might be the better format for us.
That sounds good, too.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it.
All right.
That's Chris Dickerson. He's the editor of the West Virginia Record. Also, he rock and rolls all night long. He loves KISS. When we come back from break, I don't know if Doc Holliday likes KISS, but we'll have Doc. We'll get his comments from earlier this afternoon when we continue with this edition of The Drive presented by Beltone Hearing Aid Center.
You're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Welcome back to the Friday, December 14th edition. The Drive continues on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930, presented by Belltone Hearing Aid Center. It's Friday, and that means Doc Holliday. Whoa, wait a minute. Friday, Doc Holliday? Isn't that usually a Tuesday thing? No, today's Doc's Tuesday, right? It's got to be today. It's got to be Doc's Tuesday. Thankfully, we didn't have to go through that time bending exercise. We didn't have to travel back or forward in time. My calendar says Friday, so we're going to go with Friday. So Doc Holliday getting set for the Bowl. Marshall taking on USF. The Bulls of South Florida. Here's Doc's impression of the matchup.
Just like the number one, we're excited about the Bowl. Looking forward to it. It's going to be a great challenge for us. I've known Coach Strong for a number of years, and his team will be well prepared. South Florida's got tremendous athletes. Their quarterback, at one time was a starting quarterback at Alabama, and then that being said, Jalen Hurts is the guy that took over for him at one point, so he's a talented guy that can make all the throws. They got tremendous skill at every position. Charlie will do a good job coaching those guys up, so we got to do a great job preparing. I know our kids are excited. I know our fans are excited and anxious to get down to Tampa on Sunday and get ready to go play.
Now, Doc is familiar with Coach Strong. Coach Strong is familiar with Doc. These guys know each other from their days with Urban Myers. And the question to Doc was, what makes coaches under Urban so successful?
Well, I'm not sure exactly what that is. I know from that, if you look at that staff that I was on with Urban at that time, Dazio was there. He's now the head coach at Boston College. Of course, Charlie's Charlie's the head coach there at South Florida. We've had a lot of guys that have gone on to be very successful, and he just Urban, and of course a lot of us grew up among other coaches, but Urban's one of the guys that I'm sure molded a lot of us and about the way we're doing some things, and but they're all have been successful. And I think the key ingredient is just go to work every day and work to get your team better and get prepared to go play.
Now, not only was Urban somebody that Doc had definitely mentored with, worked with, learned from, working with Coach Strong, and the question was asked, what made Coach Strong so successful when he was with you, when he was with Urban, with those Florida teams?
Coach Strong never had a bad day. I mean, I wish I was more like him. I mean, every day I never saw him have a bad day, but he's a great motivator, a tremendous recruiter, did a great job developing players, whether it be at Louisville or wherever he's been. So, I've got great respect for what he does. I know he understands, as I do, it's a personnel-driven game, and you've got to have good players, and they've got skill at every position. They got tremendous running backs, and defensively they can run, and they're good in space. So, like I say, it's a challenge we're looking forward to.
This is also an important game because you're in Florida. This is where Doc Holliday is known to be able to go in, recruit, find talent. And so getting an opportunity to play a bowl game in Florida where you're known and you have so much success, this is an important recruiting game. And the question was asked, how big of a recruiting game is this game at the bowl really?
Well, I think number one, it's what a great time slot it is because it's 8 o'clock on Thursday night. We're the only game on. People aren't bowl weary at that point, and we're not competing against anybody else. So on ESPN on national stage against a good football team, that helps. Being in Florida also helps. You got a lot of players, around that area, and of course it's great for our players because our kids that are from that area get a chance to go home and play in front of friends and family. And I've been to 27 bowl games. It was probably the first time I've ever played against a team that's playing at home. So, they got a home field advantage, so to speak. So that's another challenge we'll have to deal with. But that's again, we're excited, to get down there and get to work. Now,
South Florida, they started out strong, win 7, and then they lose 5. So you start out winning 7 straight, then you lose your next 5. And there's got to be a reason for that, right? So that was the question asked of Doc. What have you seen that has caused South Florida to go on that losing streak?
I think they had some injuries. I think that quarterback's had some injuries he's had to deal with, and had a kick return, had two kicks for touchdowns early on in a kick return game that had a knee injury. I'm not quite sure if he's back or he's not. I know it was an ACL deal he was dealing with. So, I think a lot of things play into it. They played some pretty really good teams there at the end too. Central Florida being one of them. So, they're I think a lot of things factored into the last 5 games of the year. But I think now they've had 3 or 4 weeks to get healthy and to get guys back and coach him up. So, like I say, he'll have them ready to play.
Speaking of have your players ready, that's something that Doc has been pretty good as far as the bowl games are concerned. And something he always talked about is having leadership on the road. And so it was asked of Doc, is player leadership, is it more important when you're at a bowl game?
Well, our guys have done a good job, in the past of making sure they understand why we're going, number one. I think you got to set that tone early. You don't wait till you get there to do that. I mean, that's been already explained to them that, we're going down there for a reason. That reason is to go try to find a way to win that football game. And they got, you want them to go. There's a fine line. You want them to go have fun. You want them to enjoy the experience. But they also need to understand the bowl games you remember are the ones you win, are the ones you are able to come out of there as a winner. And, I tell them all the time, you got your whole life to screw around. They got 3 weeks after that bowl game to do what they want to do, but they got one shot to create a memory of a life. You remember those bowls when you win them. I mean, there's nothing like that locker room after a big bowl win. So it's the greatest feeling in the world. So they got to make sure they understand that, and that you go in there for a reason. That's the way to try to find a way to win that game.
Now, with this bowl game and the way that Marshall finished the season, this is going to be third straight road game. Bowl game's a little different, but still, Herd's going to be on the road for the third straight game, and that was a question asked of Doc. Hey, when's the last time you've played 3 straight road games?
I'm not sure. It's not. I sure don't want to look forward to doing that. That's for sure. Again, bowl games a little bit different, but as you mentioned, and you heard when you hear their kids talk, it is a home game for them. It's in their stadium and in their locker room and in their town, the whole thing. So. We play well on the road, exception. We've been pretty good on the road, and it's like anything else. You mentioned the leadership part of it, and you also got to take the toughness part of it, which plays a big part in a big role.
That's going to do it for this edition of The Drive, presented by Beltone Hearing Aid Center on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. I want to thank Graeson Malashevich for joining me. Also, Chris Dickerson, and for my producer, Gabriel Sellards. Appreciate his work as well. I'll be back on Monday, and don't forget, if you miss any part of the program, all you have to do is go to the podcast. Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, we're on TuneIn, we're also on Spotify. For Gabriel, I'm Paul. Enjoy your weekend, everyone.